We'll go ahead and call this council work session to order. It's Wednesday, August 3rd. Time is 10 p.m. I'll open up for written comments. If you have a comment, please come up and take it here for the record and keep it 5 minutes less.
Hello, Mayor.
Hello.
Hello, Council. Hello, City Administrator. Hi, how are you guys? My name is Justin Watson. I'm coming to you guys to introduce myself. I'm the new Executive Director at the St. Helens Senior Center Incorporated. I also runs the Top Notch Thrift Shop down there on Columbia Boulevard, Southern Columbia Boulevard. So I'm very pleased to be taking over for Kathy. She ran a very coherent and comprehensive organization. So I'm really pleased to be able to step into that role and take on her legacy to continue to lead that, fiduciary responsibilities properly. So I also look forward to reporting to you guys in the annual report, the semi-annual report next month on the 7th. And so I'd like you to just know that I have a community background. I graduated at Portland State University. I also am liaison with the Town Center Advisory Commission for the city of Tigard. I lived in Tigard for about 9 years and worked out there and everything. And I'm also on the board of the secretary for the board of directors for the Community Partners for Affordable Housing. So I really got a passion for seniors and housing and just all around community development. So looking forward to working with Rachel and your new development executive director to see what we can do to get the city thriving. And I'm actually really excited to learn more about your waterfront. So Thanks for having me and look forward to serving the city of St. Helens.
Yeah,
Welcome. Thank you. Anything?
If you have any issues with building over there, definitely let John know.
So
We look forward to building a relationship with you.
yeah.
Yeah, the senior center and the city have had a long-standing working relationship. Yeah, buildings and support and services.
Right.
Yeah, so years ago, actually, that had I always say it wrong, kind of grant, CB.
Community development block grant.
Yeah, community development block grant, revamped the whole building. And
In 2010, you guys did great. So really thank you for that building. And there's some things that you'll be seeing from me soon. But one thing I am looking forward to is how to bridge the gap when it comes to funding and how to actually delineate that to serve whatever equitable measures that the city may have to serve in their financial plan. And I think that using the senior center to be able to do that can check off some boxes in that area. So I'm excited to be able to work with you guys to get the proper framing because St. Helens and Scappoose, as we serve both, they have a unique demographic. So we're coming up with some different challenges. So I'm just eager to make sure that we can clean up some of those blurred lines and make everyone happy.
all right.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. How are you? I am Amara Liebelt. I'm the new executive director of the St. Helens Main Street Alliance. I just finished my first month and wow, it's been really busy and a lot of things going on and moving. I've just been starting to hit the streets and getting to know some of the new business or not the new business, some of the business owners and just kind of hearing everything, working with Tina on Halloween Town and things like that. And Crystal for the scarecrows. And we're going to start taking over that project again. I guess we've done it before. So yeah, I have a meeting with Shauna Duggan to maybe help do some more scarecrow action and kind of get some of the kids involved into our community, which I think would be amazing. I know kids would take the opportunity to have a scarecrow on the main street. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what else we can get our hands on. Anybody have any questions?
It's like the scarecrow thing is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, some of the businesses just kept it going.
Right.
Without any incentive, so.
Well, and I think that it's not just to the main street, like if St. Helens Youth Football wants to have a scarecrow, or, you know, lots of other businesses love to participate in it. So it'll be the businesses, and then we're inviting the kids of the community, which,
Sure, I bet we could find a spot for the senior center to have one up there on the
Yeah.
street.
yeah. Well, thanks you guys.
Come on. All right, any other visitor comments? Being online, Kathy?
Doesn't look like it, no.
Okay, our first item on the agenda. Employee wake up service recognition for our city administrator, John Walsh, who has 10 years of continuous public service with the community. He definitely a quiet voice of reason. In sometimes chaotic atmosphere. And I definitely appreciate that about you. Got to know you for the last 6 years, and yeah, you are a huge asset to our community. And he lives here now too, that's for the last year, so. Yeah.
I like the word soothing. This was a French ceremony of appreciating you and kiss him on both cheeks. Not that much appreciation.
Put it out there. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I just know that you have a lot on your plate. You continue to do this grind of government that continues on and on with Waterfront to the industrial park, to just little things like administratively that a lot of people don't see that are continuously happening and being reached out to by the community, and sometimes I kick it down to you, you know, when people come to me, I say you need to see my city administrator, so. It's
Well, thank you, Mayor. It's been an honor and a privilege, really is a privilege and humbling sometimes to be in the position I am to serve the city, and it's
yeah.
part of the growth that's occurred over the years with the impacts we've made. Long lasting. It really does take a team, and we've got a great team here. Talented staff, leadership.
You get a certificate, and did you sign the certificate?
Signed by me, and you don't get a picture. Sure, I mean.
That's why.
With the kid kisses?
No, still not gonna get a kiss. Go ahead, Kevin.
I just want to say that it's been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to 10 more years, since I'll be around for probably 9 of them. I hope it's just 9. But it's been great working under you, and I really appreciate your leadership.
Yes, congratulations, John. I actually came today just to show respect for your 10 years. Congratulations. That's a milestone, I think. And, you know, being here, one of the newest members of the city, almost 2 years now, I gotta say, I'm very thankful. Honored also to work under your leadership. It's been great, very productive year. And I know in my field, I've been around a lot of bosses. I can tell you people leave bosses, they don't leave jobs. So I am extremely thankful, happy, and I appreciate the support and the vision and all the amazing things that the city is experiencing. So thank you and congratulations.
Yeah, I would just like to point out the vision that you have is.
Not just my vision, it's our
I
vision.
know,
The community.
It is, but it all starts with an idea. And then the idea turns into with a sole mission in sight, but with the community benefit at heart, is what you're all about, so. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I'd like to, I think, that comes out in the fact is you always talk about that we do not have the financial resources that we really do through our tax base. So we have had to look at other different ways of finding funds and creative funds. And so with that vision, that shared vision, I believe that through your lady, you have enabled staff, Rachel, any other staff who have sought different forms of funding, working with the state legislature to get us funding, working with different federal grants and things. So I think I have found that to be especially helpful as we do try to meet our goals with the limited resources we have.
Been a good team.
I will say that you have really continued to build partnering abilities throughout our community with other agencies and made it very enjoyable and easier to work with those other entities like we didn't have prior to. And you've seen a clear opportunity when, and Rachel was a good hire that you've seen that we should take. Well, I just, for an example, you're all good hires.
Yeah.
You're all good. So, for an example of partnering, that's what she did. And she is, you know, a huge asset and you've seen that and said, hey, let's go ahead and hire this. And, yeah, so let's step down and get a picture. Enough about
Yeah.
that.
That sounds like eulogies.
Oh, with the new map, the new map.
Hey,
Peculiarly Marseillaise.
yes, that is appropriate. Yes.
Take the clamp off.
I was gonna say.
Are you sure? Is that my good side? Or-
I'm gonna clap. Thank you.
All right. So our next item on the agenda is semi-annual report from the library department, Susan Bishop. Susan,
Thank you so much.
yes.
So pleased to be here and to be here to talk and brag about the library. Let's see. Thank you very much. I wanted to start with a couple of quotes. These were unsolicited quotes. Youth programs are vital to our most vulnerable populations living at or below the poverty line. That was someone that wrote a comment in preparation for, in anticipation of the budget committee meeting that talked about the youth librarian position. And then the other one from Representative Bonamici when she came and visited the Makerspace, which again points out the incredible resources that we have at the library and how awesome the Makerspace is. So I have a million slides, but I promise not to take too much of your time. So fine free, that has just been a huge boon to our community. We have had so many people come in, return to the library who didn't have the means to pay their fines and come back to the library. So lots of smiling faces. This is a photograph of some of our littlest patrons participating in the summer reading program. Just to put a little smile on your face. Anyway, that began on May 18th and we've already seen a return. We're very grateful for that. It's making such a big contribution to our community. You're just reading my mind. Thank you. So Representative Bonamici's visit, well covered by the local media. It was a great opportunity, of course, to brag on the Makerspace and the amazing opportunities we have there, the resource that it is for the community, and to garner public support, which of course we are working on to be able to continue to fund Alan Hansen's position and keep the Makerspace going. As you know, lots of community support for the youth librarian position at that May 12th budget committee meeting, which I was able to watch on Zoom. I was so moved by so many people being at the meeting. We had 11 citizens who spoke, and then of course the 32 written comments that were submitted in anticipation of that meeting. We're of course very grateful to the budget committee and to the council for your wisdom in allowing us to continue this such an important position. So lots of people reading, lots of people registered for our summer library challenge, which is an 8-week program. We have families registering, kids come in once a week, they can spin the wheel as you saw earlier and get a prize. That's based on the number of minutes that they've read. And so as of July 18th, we had 63,168 minutes recorded. And we know that that's not even close to the number of minutes that our little friends are reading and our grown-up friends are reading as part of this program. It's a great bridge for students and kids between in the middle of the school year over the summer, and especially with the effects that the pandemic has had on learning. We know that this is a really valuable program. We have moms and grown-ups and caregivers coming in every week saying how important and special this program is to them and to their kids. We are very happy to welcome Lynn Pettit and Aaron Martin to the library board. And we thank Becky Bean and Amanda Heineman very much for their service. The board is ready to get started on the strategic plan or get back to the strategic plan. And we're grateful to Rachel for her help and for her help in supporting that and preparing for that. And they, of course, were one of the leaders in advocating for the youth librarian position. So we're grateful for their support. Friends of the library, of course, have been very busy behind the scenes. They hosted their first book sale after the pandemic in May, earned $660 for the library programs. That allows us to purchase items that we wouldn't otherwise be able to afford. They, of course, supported the Makerspace, and they're anticipating that they'll be able to do that in the future, as well as other programs at the library that we aren't able to support with our own funds. They also sponsored 3 little libraries. They are at the Marina, at the new food bank, and also at Walnut Tree Park. This is the Walnut Tree Park Little Library. I was astounded when I sat in on their meeting last week to realize that they are stocking those at least once a week. Those books are so much value. People are really grabbing those and reading them. They're in perfect positions locations for families and grown-ups to grab those books. And so they're doing that. And they're also supporting this week. The Berno Library friends reached out. They were short of books for their book sale coming up this weekend. So the friends very generously gave them some books from their collection so that the Berno Library would have a successful sale. And then they hope to install 2 more little libraries sometime in the next year. They're still talking about what those locations will be, but these have been such a success. They really feel like there's plenty of community interest and capacity for that. Volunteers. We have 17 active volunteers. That's a smaller number than before the pandemic, but definitely that number is increasing. We just had a couple of people join our corps recently. They've logged 348 hours since January, and they're doing everything from repairing books to shelving, preparing items for circulation, all of that behind the scenes stuff that gets the materials back on the shelves as quickly as we can, and also, of course, gives the library staff opportunity to work on some other longer term projects. Community engagement, so much going on. As you probably know, we were a cooling center last week for one day when it was extraordinarily hot. We are part of the planning team to stay as a cooling center, and also to help make those decisions about when it's appropriate for the cooling centers to be open. We did have a number of people calling over the weekend asking if we were going to be a cooling center when the weather was super hot. Innovation Hub Planning Ground, I'm sure you know all about that. The Makerspace is going to be key to particularly engaging these new businesses and people who want to start businesses, startups. We'll be providing all kinds of services. Alan just finished teaching a course at OMIC on 3D printing. They've tapped him to do that and are hoping that he'll be able to do more of that sort of teaching in the future. We just started partnering with community CCMH. We're going to have some kind of field trips. It's probably not the right word, but field trips from Jordan Place for folks that are interested in coming to the Makerspace, using the library, and just engaging with the community in that way. And then, of course, we continue our work with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library and the community and the Columbia County Museum Association. Brenda Harrigan-Canega is particularly involved in that. So we added all kinds of items to the collections. I won't go through the numbers here, but I wanted to point out that We are making great use of our limited budget, and the cuts for the FY23 budget will reduce our ability to keep up with demand. I thought it might be useful to mention that many of the decisions that we make about purchases come from requests from our library patrons coming in and asking for a particular part of a series, a new book, lots of nonfiction requests actually. So we do our best, of course, to meet those needs and then also make sure that we're in general meeting the needs of the patrons and the citizens of the community. Lots of library card holders. I'll let the numbers speak for themselves. Those passport cards, generally speaking, come from Scappoose residents, and we have a reciprocal arrangement with them, so they can also get a our folks can get a Scappoose card as well. Library of Things. I'm sure you know how incredibly popular this is. We just added 3 pickleball setups that we're actually going to distribute for Parks and Rec so that folks can use those. So we're partnering with them. And then, of course, the air fryers are super popular, and the dehydrators, fruit dehydrators. And then the television is really popular this year as well, amongst other things, but those are the things that popped up. Those items are in high demand. We have lots of checkouts. Those things are often out being circulated. And we've had, even when I'm at staffing the desk, I've heard people come up and say, wow, you have so many things. This is so awesome. How amazing. So fond farewells, of course, to Margaret Jeffries and Gretchen Calderup, who gave such incredible service to the community and to the library community. And I hope to walk as carefully as I can in Margaret's footsteps and continue to carry on the important work that we are doing. And a big thank you to Brenda. She really steered the ship for the last 3 months and prepared the library for the new director, and did that with a great deal of heart and an absolute passion for library service and for our library. And then also the library staff who have just really, I mean, I'm so inspired by their dedication to public service and the incredible service that they provide our community. They are really the backbone of what we do to the library, and we're very proud of them. And then Councillor Topaz for your advocacy and support of the library, of course. We wouldn't be where we are today without your help. Looking ahead, of course, we're hiring a youth librarian. You're going to take a look at the position description. As soon as you've approved that, we're going to get right on the ball advertising for that. As I mentioned before, I'm hoping that we'll have somebody by mid-September. It might be a little earlier or a little later, depending on who we are able to find. Big shoes to fill, and that position is, so important to the community. So we'll want to make sure we have just the right person. We're, getting back to working on the 5-year plan. So that's on the front burner for the library board and staff, and Rachel's going to help us jump back in and working on that as soon as possible. Of course, we'll continue to look for permanent funding for Alan Hansen's position. The 2023 Genealogy Conference is already being planned. That's in spring of next year, and I am astounded at the incredible support and interest in genealogy. Brenda was just telling me this morning, actually, that genealogy is the second most searched subject in databases, in our databases, and even in fact across the country within Google. And then we are, yeah, isn't it? I'm really surprised and pleased, of course. And then we're returning to youth and other in-person programming. That's, with our short staff, we're just dipping our toes in the water. I'm hoping I'll be able to do a couple of story times in the next month or so. And then some adult programming. Our book club is going to take back up in September. And genealogy. Oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I've practiced that and I still can't get it out. Are going to start back up in September as well. And that is all I want to share with you today, and I'm happy to answer questions.
A couple of comments. She hasn't gotten everything done. She's only been here about a month, so we're working on that. And of course, the middle of the year is incredibly confusing, and what's gotten done is amazing. But a couple of things that are really outstanding, and it doesn't look like it. She mentioned the cooling center. Most cooling centers are a big room with blankets, places to sit. Ours looks like a library and it doesn't look like someplace you had to get out of because you got a problem. It looks like you belong there. And that really is a nice feeling for the community to have a place to help, that it doesn't look like we're helping you, but we are. That's one thing. The Makerspace has gotten some interesting use. And a couple of questions. She mentioned that some of the things we are purchasing, people have asked us to get. Well, Alan has pointed out there's some things he would like, but they're way down the list of things that you could afford, and you're only gonna use them once or twice. So we've been playing the thought around, what happens if we ask some of the people who use the Makerspace or the community, could you use whatever we need for them to donate? That's basically an ongoing program. We know about the youth operation. We just need more people. We've got lots of little kids who want to use it, so that's a big go. We obviously always need more money. We are integrating around the county. Now, on the business of the genealogy, remember Brenda, with her contacts and her prestige, was able to get some people from the Library of Congress. So this is a kind of a heavyweight conference here, way out in Oregon and St. Helens. You wouldn't believe that we could attract people of that caliber, yet we are. So we're not a lightweight in the business. And a lot of that, Susan didn't start, but she's gonna have to handle, and she's got the crew that's been doing it. So we've got a super good crew, and we're leading the pack over a lot of big libraries.
For that.
I don't have a question, but just a comment too, when just the timeliness, the new, I'm always amazed at the new books that are coming in. And how relevant they are to things that are going on. I have finished reading and in the process of reading two that have to do with the Ukraine-Russia conflict. One that talks about the events that led up to it since the fall of the Iron Curtain up to the present day, and the other one, the history of that whole area going back to Greek and ancient times, and so just having that type of thing available, in addition to the very basic, craft and cooking things, it's just some really fine a selection of things. So I would highly recommend folks who haven't get down and check out those new, any of these new books, timely and relevant. So, thank you.
I just like that you're starting to dip your toes into some of the youth programs, trying to get too much on your plate, and that you are getting ready to make that hire, hopefully after we approve the job description. Then the air fryer kind of.
See what I mean? Who knew?
Exactly. I did not know.
Yeah,
Air fryer, dehydrator, that's great. Yes.
yeah, there's all kinds of amazing. I mean, I can't even speak to the breadth of it. We've got lots of STEM things for kids, and there's some robotics kits in there.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure that's kind of unique to what your job descriptions have been in the past. An air fryer?
Yeah.
We check out the air fryer,
Yeah.
the dehydrator.
Yeah, library of things, it's what it's known throughout the library world, and it is a brand new thing. There's, in fact, I think it was Multnomah County that really got that going, or Beaverton, really nationally kind of set the trend. And we have a really robust collection, especially compared if you look at other library systems. It's really, I mean, I think we have, I wish I could remember the number, we have over 100 kits and items to check out. It's really a very broad range.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you get that one person there for that one specific item, and then they're looking, I didn't know you had this, and I didn't know you had that, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's great, it's really, interesting to me, so,
Well, come on down.
yes.
So the hot spots, are they continue to be
They are. Thank you for mentioning those. They are always circulating. They're always checked out. Yeah, very, very popular. And I think a small hold list too. So yeah, they go out as soon as we get them back in the library.
I recently reviewed or saw participated in a documentary series about libraries across our nation and what the revolution of what libraries are becoming. They're with that, it becoming a cultural center of our municipality as well. It's obvious that your programs that reach out much further than just checking out books. And Pat brings up a great point that the books are the essence of the library, but what libraries have become recently in the last decade or two have just been phenomenal. And I'm encouraged to see that St. Helens is keeping pace with that.
We're, trend setting. If you look at this part of if you look at across the nation, for example, the Library of Things, it's really, and the Makerspace is another example of that. Really, there are very few, even larger jurisdictions that are able to maintain a Makerspace. And we've really been attracting some attention. He's shared that Alan's now teaching at OMIC, teaching some courses at OMIC.
So
We're an innovation hub. I mean, there's just lots of opportunities for us to really showcase what we do. And to your point, libraries used to be about books and we shushed people and they could only use pencils and, things have changed dramatically even in the last decade. We are, as I've said before, we are our community's living room. People come here to learn, and be entertained, to share information. It's really libraries are very special, public libraries especially.
I'm encouraged that we have a staff and a director that's working in that. I mean, it's wonderful.
Glad to hear it. Our staff is really remarkable.
Yeah, what a great way of introduction to OMEC too, to the Makerspace. A lot of people live in this area, don't know what OMEC is.
Mhm,
They do not.
mhm.
It's a great asset to OMEC, and OMEC really is huge for our area, and it definitely has potential to be a lot bigger than what it is even right now. So anything we can do to help that, it's great. Yeah, welcome again.
Thank you.
Yes. Good
Couldn't be
report.
prouder to be
Yes.
working at this library with these wonderful people in this
Yes.
awesome community.
What do you think of that 100-degree weather last year? Were you okay with it?
Well, there was no humidity, so we're right. It wasn't too bad.
Not too bad. Okay, good.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting it this month, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. Thanks. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, thank you. Now we're gonna review proposed new librarian one new position job description.
I may not want to go too far.
I know, I was just thinking.
So every time we have a position that comes vacant, we now have a look at it, make sure it's current, make sure it says things want to say, send it to or. For review and bring back to you for an update. One of those occasions and.
For context, it might be appropriate for me to add that Gretchen, before she left, was really instrumental in drafting this job description. And she did that based, she took of course, the bones of what we had and really built on that this is very current, very relevant to what that position does in the community and how it serves the community.
So we do a legal review, it goes, this is a representative position, so it goes to the collective bargaining unit for their acceptance, which has happened. And it comes to your. It's on tonight's agenda.
Yeah. It's all good.
Alrighty.
It isn't like we just started that, it's been, so. The usual hassle has basically been taken care of.
Yeah, this is no way a major overhaul or renovation, it's just a new experiment.
That it?
That's it.
Gosh, it's gonna be a fast meeting.
Yes, very excited to get it started.
Okay, next is review proposed psilocybin moratorium resolution and notice of election.
So also on your agenda this evening is a resolution setting forth approving, referring to the electors of the city of St. Helens at November 8th general election, the question of whether to prohibit the psilocybin, or say, service centers and the manufacture of psilocybin products within the city. We recall from our last meeting, we had a discussion, there was a nothing approach, there was, and then to do something approach. No one was to place a moratorium for 2 years, which this is what we're doing so that the Oregon Health Authority can figure out their rulemaking because they haven't even done that yet. And or you could just outright ban it. And you opted for the moratorium.
Because there may be some medical benefit.
And when we went and did a little bit of research back on voters' approval of Measure 110, and it was really actually pretty close. Because, you know, it approved barely. So it was, close to almost 50-50. And so it seems like the moratorium, the rulemaking kind of thing is, we're going to have to revisit this again in 2 years. But it seems like a good forward.
Yeah.
A number of communities who are also facing this problem, and they basically said ban it or going through the process. So we're not leading the pack on that one. Saying no.
Yeah, some are doing nothing.
Yeah, but as I say, it's a statewide attack, and most people don't want it. I think seeing what the state said it was going to do with our previous chemicals not doing very well at has kind of added to the color of the cookie, if you would.
Only if you take psilocybins, do you see colored cookies?
Well, not having the medical backup, you don't even get the box of crayons which you need, and that's the real problem. And this is something that you really do need some good rules and a good medical backup and a good backing, which just doesn't exist at this point.
Nor are there any rules.
Right.
So
I think that's in the ordinance with all the whereases that I think that is most compelling. The state does not yet have this act together. Expect to be in a position to implement this in a thoughtful and reasonable way.
And there is some time sensitivity to this because election filing deadlines.
Yeah, so that's why we're pushing it through tonight, yeah. Yeah, we knew that talking in our discussion last week, or last meeting. Okay, so our next item is city administrator report.
All right, is Chief Greenway?
I am. Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, how are you?
I wanted to bring to your attention the adopted budget includes the acquisition of a couple of leased police vehicles. And that's not really the ask here. It's more the ask of vehicles that are available, the color selections are available. And I wanted the chief to kind of go through, show some photos, and the blue and whites that we've traditionally been accustomed to that come to be kind of accepted around the community are in that Durango are not going to be available.
Oh,
Right.
really?
They're not
Yes.
making that.
So I can weigh in. Thank you, John. So this is a challenge that police agencies across America have faced for years. And what I mean by Ford will make a police car and then they stop making it. So then we have to transition to another police vehicle. And as we get, go through life, you see all kinds of different police vehicles over the years. You had the Monaco Dodge Interceptor back in the 70s, and now, it went to the Ford Crown Victorias. Well, this is a different challenge for us. Dodge is no longer making it's called a reactor blue or any blue in the 2022 Dodge Durangos. And that kind of hamstrings us as an agency because we selected that color for our uniqueness, and identification for our St. Helens Police Department. So we still like to have the ability to be readily available, identifiable, from a distance. So we wanted to bring it from the council to have a slight change. And it's going from the blue that's not available anymore to a black. It would be the same color scheme that you see in front of you. It would just be going from the dark blue to a black. It's, the reason we want to stick with one, color is so we don't have, in layman's term, a bag of Skittles, as far as police vehicles. And we want, something that our community can be proud of, as well as our employees. Now, it's important for us to have a readily identifiable police vehicle because we want, first of all, to be, we want to be in the community. We want our residents and our community members to say, hey, that's our police department. In case of an emergency, they can see us. But it's also a safety issue. Believe it or not, a marked police vehicle that is not uncovered is at night when our officers are making vehicle stops can be seen from a distance and actually provide a protection to our officers from being rear-ended. Now, it's not it doesn't solve all the problems because that does happen. Drunks run in the back of police cars because they follow the lights. But this is an issue, like I said, that we have to make a decision before we order our replacement vehicles because we can't get them in the same color. And so we're just asking if council, we don't need an official vote, but what your thoughts are. I'm sorry, Mayor?
I was just asking Kathy if she changed the decal on it. She's
4 different sketches.
4 different sketches.
Rim,
Okay, because the original first one was our original wrap, right? There, that's the original, what we have now, right?
that's blue, yes. Is that what you mean?
Then
So the
you-
change, right, the change in the police decal there would be going from a blue to a gray to kind of blend better with the, the vehicle instead of having, it just be, if you can see.
So it'll be that last one right in there. That's got a little bit of blue, but gray in the police.
Right.
I'll show you.
So if we did, if council did agree to this, the good news is that every automobile manufacturer makes a black vehicle. Sergeant Castilleja was able to Photoshop. This is just a rudimentary Photoshop, but he has the skills to do that. So that's as best as we can, come up with. Again, it would be the same color scheme, just a different going from the reactor blue to a black. But it would guarantee that they always make, black vehicles, they always make white vehicles, but we were just caught off guard with the blue being unavailable. After Dodge, we had our fleet made with Dodge.
So did you guys find the Fords were a little too small or not as much storage or what?
No, actually, Mr. Mayor, the issue was, again, supply and demand. We needed vehicles right away. The officers weighed in and they liked the Dodge Durangos. But there is, a high maintenance cost on these Dodges. So the replacement vehicles that we're going to replace the mileage out vehicles will again be Dodge Durangos, but any additional vehicles we purchase will be Ford. There is a long waiting list for police vehicles. So we have, by August 5th, we have to, let Enterprise know, hey, we're ready to go and pull the trigger. And it'll still take a year before we have delivery of these vehicles. So yes, we will have a mixture of different manufacturers, Ford and Dodge, but we want one consistent color.
Uh-huh.
And the reason we can't just, change all of our Durangos to Ford because the equipment inside the vehicles are specifically outfitted for Dodge Durangos.
Exactly.
So that would be, a cost that we don't want to, incur.
So
So the plan would be to
so
order all
starting
black
next year,
vehicles.
starting next year, we may have some black vehicles and some dark blue vehicles is what you're saying, right?
Correct. Well, they wouldn't be all black. They'd be wrapped to look like that. But yeah, until the blue vehicles were all phased out.
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
So is that a head nod, move forward, sir?
yes, that's why I'm seeing everybody shaking their head. Yes,
Change can be
Okay.
challenging. We've had this conversation in the past before with the Tahoes and even the graphic wrap on the side that was a concern and
yeah, this falls within your budget,
or
so.
a surprise to you.
Yeah, so it falls within your budget and you've talked with John and we appreciate you bringing this to us. So we
Okay.
know just to let people know in the community.
Yes, I will do, when they start coming in about a year from now, I'll work with Crystal and we'll put a press release out, kind of outlining to our residents of why this change was to help them know. Because, we work for them and, they're proud of their police department as the officers are proud to work, so.
Yeah, just no change in budget, so people aren't, like crying, about everything at that point in time. Inflation will really have hit a lot of people by then.
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, moving on. Thank you for considering that. There's some time sensitivity to getting those orders in and wanted to make sure that there was no surprises around the colors and options and what we're dealing with there. Not a big deal to some, big deal to others. Sand Island Sandcastle Festivals this weekend. The island's all set up over there. Everything's looking good for that. The boat is not going to be here by then, but there's another contract boat that'll be servicing that. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with what we're acquiring. I've been on some conference calls with the Port of Coast Guard Division of Portland, Coast Guard Division of Florida. A lot of handoff logistics about one group and in different zones and all these different testing requirements and everything. Everybody's has no real concerns expressed. It's just the time.
They need to make sure.
Yeah, and there's a process for each letting go and a process for receiving and a process for all this, but it'll. No good, it's just not gonna be here this weekend, but yeah.
But we're
It's left to roll with it, but I reached out to our auditors on the extension of their contract, the terms that proposal that they provided. We're gonna probably see that next meeting, the contract extending audit services, at least we'll have get full moving along with our next year's audit. The received word that some federal funding that came through. Thank you, Rachel, for public safety and actually to White and Berkeley federal funding. And our region actually received quite a few awards, and I just want to highlight some of those. $814,000 to the Columbia Economic Team for the Columbia County Advanced Additive Manufacturing Small Business Incubator. That includes a piece of that's our library, so that's good. The $500,000 to Riverside Training Centers for their empowerment of people with intellectual development disabilities, and $340,000 to the City of St. Helens for law enforcement technology, and that's the technology asks that we made to help the police do their work better to help prevent some of the pornography cases they're working right now. It's a real piece of technology to help them out quite a bit. And then Scappoose got some money for their workforce training as well. So one of the values of having someone that does government affairs on our staff is evident in times like this and others with FEMA grants and just that. But a lot of cities our size don't have that. There's only a handful that do. So I think that's a good decision well supported by you all, and that's great. The docks, we're getting close to having, I keep saying this every meeting, but the harbor master agreement we're finally making some progress. But the enforcement, we've been writing notices on boats to not be there. There was one that was there 9.5 days and it left Friday afternoon, which saved us
half a day from being towed.
half a day from being towed. Showed up with one of our familiar faces and they hauled it off somewhere to hopefully it doesn't come back. The kiosk is being well utilized. If you watch the docks, you'll see people. There's a lot less people that now that you're staying, they're coming and going, where they're coming and paying, they're paying, most people are paying. And it's good to see that. The timing of the 3 to 5 days, we're hoping to roll that rather than not having an ordinance amending and another ordinance amending here in the fall to roll that to October. So if that's all right with you, just as a matter of efficiency and a lot to it. But
Just amending the original? Is that what we're doing? No. Can't.
Amending the code.
we're amending the code. So that has a whole process, it gets codified and readings and all that. We're intending to have a cleanup meeting with the voters advisory committee in October, early October, to season wrap up kind of meeting. To bring that to it, and anything else that looks like it might need some.
So it's basically schedule constraints. They're getting together in October.
But we could do it. I mean, it's technically we could do it. It's just a matter of efficiency. It might be, that's just.
But it's more scheduled. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, just do it all once, like I say.
Yeah. Advocating for it.
Yep. So we can just kind of, I mean, if what, people are there more than 5 days, then we can say something.
And, yeah, the behavior is much improved and a little bit of revenue to offset the cost, so that's great. On projects, do we have we're working really diligently on the wastewater funding for their challenge spots in our wastewater system. We're scheduling, we actually have a tour next Monday with Regional Solutions team. We're coming tour what's going on Waterfront, what's going on in the growth in our city and the challenges we're having with some of the wastewater basins. And there's also a funding meeting with the state that we're setting up to make sure that we get the most funding available. It's not just loan funding, but other grant principal forgiveness, other programs that are out there to kind of really reduce the cost, minimize the burden to our ratepayers, and get the leverage. So that's all hands on deck with that as far as getting those areas of the city served. Taking a real close look at the reservoir, getting that repaired, or making the best long-term solutions for that project. And maybe it's not repairing, maybe it's a new one. We're taking a look at that, all of those options to make sure that we're reflect back at the beginning of the project. The roof liner was only supposed to last a Band-Aid that will last 10 years, and it's been 6 of those years and it hasn't been fixed. So,
And it does look like the membrane was the problem.
and is it really the right solution to do another repair? So we're evaluating that internally. So we'll be back to that. First Street's going along nicely. The Riverwalk is still on schedule to be signed by the end of the year and out to bid early next spring. Central Waterfront, the scope of work for the federal funding is moving along. Councilor Topaz submitted some comments that I passed along to the contractor, which were aligned with our own internal comments. We're pretty close, similar actually, as far as the sampling and sludge sampling and things of that nature.
The depth and all that, yes. And bridging the gaps.
Our growing rural Oregon partnership forthcoming here, and we've been doing some meetings with the organization. Brought in actually just yesterday, had a group of Columbia Economic Team, Main Street. Everybody was here with a bunch of local entrepreneurs and just talking about the GROW program, the value in that, and basically filling out a survey to, baseline survey of how we can improve the program and support entrepreneurs locally. But you don't even have an agreement yet. This feeds the agreement that's going to come to the city to be the sponsor of the program. It's good. You met our new senior center director. You met Amara, if you didn't know her already. We were all good. And that's it. It's really busy.
John, I heard someplace, I don't know how good the reporting was, that they're gonna close the bridge over Longview for something for a couple of days.
I believe that's a couple of weeks.
So, okay, the question that I asked then, with that taken out of the loop, will we be monitoring how much that traffic not being here will affect us? The idea is, if nobody goes by here because the bridge is closed, how much interest should we put in businesses that, because if all the traffic that goes through St. Helens comes from the bridge, that's the type of personnel that are gonna buy things here or go here. If the bridge being closed cuts the traffic down by 2%, then kind of where we're going stays the same type of plans. I'm trying to get a picture of what kind of people come through because of that bridge. And right now, we're gonna take the bridge out of action. So what's gonna happen to our traffic pattern?
When is that going to be? Do we know? The reason I'm laughing is, no, my new teaching partner, live in Castle Rock. And so you see.
It'll be a long way around.
Whoa, yeah, she's gonna have a long.
I received an email from ODOT or WatchDOT, I don't know why, but that talked about, that actually had a survey, and so they're actually doing a survey to see what days would affect, what days of the week would affect, yeah, the people the least, and what reasons they go over there or come over here.
So it'll be a full disclosure, is that what they're saying, or is it, a lot of times they try to go from. Do it at night, if they can't, this project may not allow them to do it at night, but most of the time they try to do it at night.
Yeah, it's a full closure. You know, they've said the routes that you could take is the Astoria Megler Bridge or I-5.
So the duration of the closure,
I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Oh my. Anyway.
I can see working on, at night on roads, but on a bridge, I don't think being up in the air after sundown is a good
They
idea.
actually do it quite a bit more than you think.
Action joints.
We have a new resident who just got a job teaching the high school in Longview, so.
One in the north end, one in.
So those are some, anyway, wow.
I think your question is, should we measure the traffic counts to see the
Yeah.
difference? I just was reflecting back on when I-5 closed for a few years ago, in the landslides and all the people went over the bridge. So it's
Yeah, it was pretty fast.
like 6 or 8 hours to
Yeah,
get through
it was
town.
pretty fast.
So construction is slated to begin in 2023, probably around spring.
So,
And the closure dates won't be announced until they've selected a contractor.
Oh, okay, so a while. Well, anyway.
so we've got a good half a year,
It'll be-
good half a year.
Okay.
Okay,
But interesting, yeah.
any other questions for John?
And I do not have a executive session tonight.
No. Okay, I was thinking we might be talking about,
Actually, I do have. No, let's do it. Let's,
the view
I have a real property and I have a
potential.
potential, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so as previously announced, before we adjourn, I just let people know that we would go into executive session under ORS 192.6602 E and H. With that, we are adjourned.